Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Ask a Property Manager, episode number 24. Today is June 10th, 2020. Finally coming to you from back in Studio 2.0 here at Own Buffalo. I'm Andrew Schultz, principal broker of Own Buffalo Inc. And on today's show, we're going to be doing an analysis of an investment property down in South Buffalo. Before we jump to that, we're going to plug our social media. New episodes of Ask a Property Manager hit every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. You can find those on our Facebook page where you can watch them live, facebook.com/Buffalo Foreclosed Homes. You can also catch the replays on our Facebook page as well as on our YouTube page. You can find that over at ownbuffalo.com. There's a link to the YouTube page, or just go right to YouTube and search for Own Buffalo and it'll pop right up. Go ahead, follow us on Instagram. We post a lot of stuff there that never makes it onto our other social profiles. A little bit more lighthearted content on our Instagram page. A little bit more professional content on Facebook and YouTube. And last but not least, grab a free 30-minute consultation call with me over at ownbuffalo.com. We're going to pull that up on the screen right now. I do have two more openings on Friday of this week. And then looking into next week, it's a little bit truncated as far as what's available. We're working on a couple of projects right now that we want to get out the door. So we kind of cut back on our availability for open appointments. But there are some time slots available both for this week and for next week if you're interested. Guys, those are a free consultation. It doesn't cost you anything to hop on those phone calls with me or a Zoom call, whatever you prefer. It's 30 minutes. You can ask whatever questions you want to ask. I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability. Obviously, I'm a real estate broker in the state of New York. I have a pretty good grasp on things that are happening here in New York. Less of a grasp on what's happening in some other areas, but a lot of information that we can give you can be used, nationwide. As long as you double check against your local laws, there's a lot of information that's very general in real estate. So we should be able to help you at least come up with some kind of a solution to whatever problem it is that you're facing. So we're going to jump right in. Today we're going to be doing a deal analysis on a property down in South Buffalo. You're going to get to see my screen here in the actual MLS system. We'll pull that up now. Hopefully you guys are able to read all the text and everything. So what I'm doing is I've already identified my subject property is 94 Mineral Springs in South Buffalo. What I'm doing is looking for anything within 5.5 miles, half a mile of that address. And I'm looking at everything. Active properties, properties that are under contract, pending sale, stuff that's closed within the last 180 days, things that have been pulled off the market in the last 180 days, and things that have expired within the last 180 days. I'm looking right now at just 2 to 4 family property. That's worth noting. And then we'll take a look at the map view. This is everything. This is our half-mile radius here. And these are all of the properties that met our criteria inside that half-mile radius. So the first thing we're going to do is show you our subject property, which as I mentioned, is 94 Mineral Springs. This is a 2-unit property, and we're going to drop that to the client view. There we go. This is a 2-unit property. Both of these apartments are vacant, and these are both 3-bedroom apartments. This home's listed for $69,900. We'll call it $70,000, and it's 2,500 square foot. We'll run through the photo set here real quick just so you can see what I'm seeing when I look at this property. And I want to take a second to mention this property is way below market value based on what other properties in the neighborhood are selling for. You'll see that when we get into our comps here in a couple seconds. But you'll see why this is so undervalued as we go through the photos. And I'll point a few things out as we move forward as well. The first thing I want to point out is this roofing situation up here. This looks like some kind of a rolled roofing and not your typical asphalt shingling. This was probably thrown up as a quick repair or something like that. Chances are, looks to me that is definitely a rolled roofing. You're going to be doing a roof on this place. I can almost guarantee it just based on what I'm seeing there. And again, you can see up here the rolled roofing. 2 gas meters, that's nice. I'm actually going to go back and see. Can't see the electric meters from here. Let's see here. All right, so here we are. We're now in one of the apartments. You can see flooring's kind of rough. It does have the original hardwood flooring in here, but it is kind of rough. It looks like this place basically might have gotten a little bit of a paint job and then put on the market perhaps. We'll keep moving through here. Photo of the basement showing a hot water tank. I can see a furnace back there as well. Kind of a weird angle of the basement. Let's see here. Looks like a reverse angle. This must have been standing, let's see, there's the other hot water tank, another furnace. So you've got two furnaces, two hot water tanks. And again, these are weird angles in the basement. Let's see, we're back into one of the apartments now. We're looking into one of the bathrooms. You can see that your flooring is peeling up. You've got a hole in your ceiling here. This is a property that needs rehab, is basically the message I'm trying to convey here. This is not something that is just going to be turnkey, ready to walk right into. Looking now at one of the kitchens, in my opinion, this kitchen needs basically a redo. Like we're talking cabinets, we're talking countertops, appliances. This looks pretty well beat up, pretty well hammered. Let's see, is that the same kitchen? No, that's a different kitchen. Different kitchen, kind of the same situation. You've got a lot of cabinets and stuff here that are just beat up. These are not high quality cabinets by the looks of it. These uppers here appear to be just like a press board or something like that. I'm guessing that these lowers down here are the same. Then over on the left side, this looks to be possibly a built-in, which that's probably still in good condition and savable. Let's see, we have a living room here. You can see all the hardwoods are intact. Various conditions depending on what area of the floor you're standing in. So you're looking at either some new flooring or restoring the existing hardwoods. So that's something to keep in mind. You do have some wood paneling over here. I'm not in love with wood paneling, but if you don't want to tear it down and drywall, this is very easy to hit it with some rough grit sandpaper to rough up this surface, and then you can paint right over top of it. This is a little bit concerning. You've got drop ceiling tile here. Generally, when you see a drop ceiling tile, there's going to be another ceiling. You can see there's a difference in the height of these two ceilings here. Something is being covered up, which is why there's a drop ceiling here as opposed to whatever, drywall or plaster. You could have had like a water leak or something like that. That might be the situation you're dealing with here, and they decided rather than fix it with drywall or plaster lath to go in and do a drop ceiling. So I would want to peek up there and take a look and see what we're dealing with. Another photo of that living room. I don't know what this is supposed to be. Just is this an entrance maybe? Let's see here. Another photo. Another drop ceiling. This one appears to be in possibly a living room. Again, and whenever I see these drop ceilings, I always want to know what's above that drop ceiling. Is it something that's a big issue or not so much of an issue? We've come into situations where we've moved a drop ceiling tile and uncovered just a rat's nest of electrical wire that's run all over the place because the last people that were through there decided to do, a half-hearted renovation and just left a giant tangle of wire rather than running it properly and putting it where it belonged. So that was kind of a situation we had to deal with. We'll just flip through the rest of these photos. These are mostly bedrooms at this point, and you can kind of get a feel for it. The property's had a little bit of work, but it could definitely stand to have more work done to it to get it to the point where it's really in good condition. So, all right, so that is our subject property, 94 Mineral Springs. Again, that's a 3-3. It's not currently rented, and it's currently on the market, active for $69,900. We're going to call it 70. Let's jump back to our map here real quick. I'm going to select that because that's our subject property. I already went through and picked out some comps before the show just to make things move a little bit smoother. I'm going to select 65 Roanoke. This is a block away, 2 blocks away. This was roughly the same size, and we'll pull this up again and drop it to the client view. So this is another 2-unit property. This one's a 3-2. So you've got 2 bedrooms in the probably upper unit and 3 bedrooms in the lower unit. The 2-bedroom is currently owner occupied, and the other unit, the 3-bedroom, is vacant. You'll see that when we get into the photos here. This is a little bit smaller than our subject property at 2288 square foot. All the properties in this neighborhood are going to be right around the same square footage and right around the same year built. It's just kind of when South Buffalo really started popping. And you've got a sale price on this of $120,000. So we're talking about a difference of several, tens of thousands of dollars. I think $50,000 if my math is right in my head between our subject and this comp. And we'll scroll through the photos on this one. so you can get a feel for what a $120,000 sale looks like. Not the most flattering photos of this apartment. You know, turn on some lights, please. Let's see here. Kitchen is a little bit older, a little bit dated. Not too bad though. You could probably get by with some fresh paint and some fresh door hardware on those built-ins. You can even buy just doors. These are probably custom sized just due to the age of the home and things like that. But if you have like a standard size cabinet, you can buy just doors, door fronts from IKEA, from Lowe's, Home Depot, wherever, to really update a set of cabinets that's in good shape, but just needs some freshening up. Let's see here, another photo. This is a 12 foot by 12 foot stick down tile. It was super popular. It was sold by Home Depot and Value probably 10-ish years ago. It's supposed to look like hardwood. Frankly, I think it looks really tacky and I can't stand it. Here we are in a bathroom. You do have what appears to be a tile tub surround. You have a drop ceiling in here with a wet ceiling tile that you can kind of see up there. So that's something that would warrant looking into. And now we're into the occupied space. We're just going to kind of click through here. Wood paneling. This kitchen is definitely a little bit older. So this is this is a recent sale. This sold for $120. This is on Roanoke, and let me see, what was the sale date on this? This closed in February 10th of this year. So this is a recent sale. This is within the last 6 months. This was a property that sold for $120 versus our property at $70. We're going to jump back to our map and pick up a couple more comps here. Let's see here. 213 Stevenson was my next one. This is another property that we're going to look at. This is another comp. With this one, it's a little bit more. This was $140,000 purchase price, 2,200 square foot, which is about 300 square foot smaller than our subject property. Again, this is a 3-3 duplex, and these are both renting for $800 a month. That's not too bad as far as the rents go. Those could probably actually be bumped up a little bit. We're starting to see 2 bedrooms in South Buffalo. I'm sorry, 3 bedrooms in South Buffalo in the $900, $950 range if they're well equipped, well updated. So that's something to keep in mind. You might be able to move those rents up a little bit, which always helps the situation. So we'll scroll through the photos here. These are both occupied apartments. Again, you've got older cabinets here. If you wanted to freshen this whole space up, you could hit these cabinets with some bright paint and some new hardware and really brighten the space up. Bathroom has had a tile surround put in the shower, which looks good. That toilet is newer. That vanity is newer. And when I say newer, I'm talking probably sometime within the last 5 years or so. You can just tell this unit has had a little bit of attention given to it compared to some of the other stuff that we've looked at. New front door. Maybe not a new front door, but let's see. This is another kitchen. This is a very standard quality of cabinet that you're going to see a lot of units in Buffalo. Home Depot, Lowe's, some kind of a builder grade cabinet more than likely. They're not too bad. Nice tile floor in the kitchen. You can just tell that this house has had some more appreciation, a little bit more love over the years. One of the bedrooms, another bathroom. Actually, that might be the same bathroom we were looking at before. Bedroom. A little garage out back, pretty hammered. Back of the house, okay. You do have 2 electric meters here. You can see one. There's going to be another one right here that's just off scene. You can't see it. And there you go, back to picture number 1. This is a nice example of a house that should sell in the 140 range in this neighborhood. It's in good shape for the most part. I'm going to pull the pictures back up. I want to peek at the roof. I can't tell much about the roof there. It looks like it might be a little rough. Is there anything in the notes on that? No, I don't see anything. So the roof might be a little bit rough on that one. So in the 140s, you've got 2 tenants in here. They're both paying $800 a month, and if you're in the 140 range on that, given the way that property looked, yeah, I would say 140 is a fair price for that property. So let's find our next comp, and let's see here. You know, you've got 213 Stevenson, and then right next door you have 226, which sold for 180. I didn't pull this as a comp, but let's just flip through the photos of it real quick. Let me change this to client full, grab the photos. We're not using this one as a comp, so I'm just kind of looking through the photos to show you. All right, you can almost immediately tell where the extra 40 grand is here. This home is immaculate. You've got quite a bit of updating done in here. Their color choices are nice. I hate wood paneling. Honestly, I don't hate the wood paneling in this room, though. I don't like that drop ceiling. I'd wonder what's up above that, but the paneling doesn't look terrible in this room because of the color choice that they made with the carpet and the trim and things like that. So it's also not as dark as what a lot of wood paneling is. Most of that wood paneling is super, super dark. This is actually a lot lighter, a little bit easier to work with, I would say. Let's see. Bathrooms had some updates. You've got vanity, new updated vanity, updated toilet. I can't really see into the shower. Hard to tell what's going on in there. Another bedroom, kitchen, a little bit older cabinetry. It looks to me like these may have been glass panels inside these cabinet doors at one point that were actually swapped out for something solid. Over time that glass will break or something like that. Rather than put in a plexiglass or something, sometimes you are better off to just throw in some kind of a hard paneling and paint it. Looks like they use some kind of a textured paneling there. It looks pretty good, actually, all things considered. You do have a drop ceiling in the kitchen here. I'm betting there was probably some kind of an issue from the upper kitchen to the lower kitchen. And we'll keep moving through. There's more of that tile. So my biggest concern, here you go. So here's wood paneling that's been painted. So you can see kind of what I mean. By scuffing it down and then painting it, it almost blends right in. Like I actually had to do a double take to make sure that that was wood paneling. It definitely changes the entire look of a space. So here's your next bathroom. Another kitchen. These are newer cabinets. A lot of drop ceilings in this house, and it really makes me wonder why. That would be my main question. So you can kind of tell this house has had a lot more attention paid to it over the years, a lot of love, and it sold in the 180s. And let's see here, one of the units was unoccupied or bringing in 0 rent. One was bringing in 600 in rent. The rents are low. One of the units may have been owner occupied or something like that. 180, I don't know. 180 feels a little high on the sale on this property to me, based on what we're seeing. This did sell at the tail end of 2019, so we have had some. We're coming up. When I'm looking for comps, I'm looking for stuff within the last 6 months. So this is on the very, very tail end of that 6 months. Today's June 10th as we're filming this. So chances are there's been some movement in the market in that time. So that's why I chose not to use that one. The last one that I did choose is going to be on Armin Place, 92 Armin. Go ahead and select that, jump into this, and switch over to the client view. This is another 3-3. The rents on this are 500 and 600. Again, those are very, very low. You could really bring those rents up if you do some updates to the building. This is a sale this sold for 130,000, and this is 2524 square foot. So this is about 24 square foot larger than our subject property. And the sale price of 130, we're talking about a list price of 70 on our subject property. So we're just going to click through here so you can get a feel for what this property looks like. And again, at a 130 sale price, you can kind of get a feel for what we're looking at. Pretty straightforward home. Not a whole lot of exciting things to look at there. Not a bad comp, though, given the nature of where it is compared to our subject property. I mean, we're basically right there. Everything is within a couple of blocks, so I feel pretty confident with those comps. Our sale values there were 120, 130, and 140. So we're going to use kind of a rough ballpark of the 130 range, 120 to 130 range when we're talking about our subject property. Well, let's go back and look at that subject property real quick and just start picking out some of the work that might need to be done here and kind of, for approximating some costs. This roof is shot. This roof is likely going to be a full strip and redeck. You have a couple of dormers here. I can see a dormer on the front. I can see a dormer on the side. Is there one on the other side? Doesn't look like it. So you do have some dormers there. They're going to need to be cut in as well. That roof is probably going to cost you somewhere between 12 and 15. Just being realistic here. Flooring, depending on what you want to do, you can spend anywhere from, you can literally buy 12 by 12 stick down tile for 99 cents a square foot and install it. You could go and have this hardwood restored, which could cost you anywhere between $3 and $10 a square foot, depending on how rough it really is when you get in and look at it and how much needs to be replaced. You could go over the top of the hardwood with either a carpet or a vinyl plank, something like that. If you're going to go over top of the existing hardwoods, just keep in mind that someone down the road might want to restore those hardwoods. If you can do a floating floor without an adhesive, or if you're using like the Allure floating floor, it glues to itself, like it's got a little tab, you overlay it and it sticks. That would be a good option here. Something where you're not putting an adhesive product on the actual hardwood. You're just going to make the next person's job that much more difficult if they decide they want to restore it. Of course, if it's going to be your forever home, do whatever you want with it. But if you are just keeping it as an investment, try to think about the future down the road. I would recommend probably, I don't ever recommend carpet. It's just a bad idea to put carpet into a rental unit. It's just going to get destroyed. I would probably go with some kind of a plank, a luxury vinyl plank, or something along those lines, something in that vein. And you're pretty much doing that in every room, by the looks of things anyway. So I do have some concerns down in this basement, and it's more just because of the way that these photos were shot than anything else. I can't tell if this ceiling is on some kind of a slant or what's going on here. Is there some kind of an issue? That's something you won't know until you physically go out and look at the property. When I'm looking in this basement, I'm looking at hot water tanks and furnaces. I want to see what the age of these hot water tanks and furnaces is. This is probably a 10-year-old hot water tank-ish. That's probably a 10 to 15-year-old furnace. I can see an electric panel over there. So just kind of ballparking what our expenses are going to be down the road. Another furnace, things like that. Bathrooms, you're going to wind up doing probably 2 bathrooms. You're probably going to wind up doing 2 kitchens. So I tend to think somewhere around 5 per bathroom, depending on how far you want to go, and probably around 10 per kitchen, depending on how far you want to go. And you can see how quickly these expenses are adding up. It doesn't take very long for projects to get expensive very quickly. And the prices that I'm firing off the top of my head, these are, again, like very rough values. And it also depends on, are you doing the work yourself? Are you bringing in a contractor to do the work? There's a lot of variables as to how much this work could possibly cost you. So that's something to keep in mind as well. But there's a fair amount of work here. You're probably going to go through and paint. You're definitely going to go through and clean. You're going to be peeking under these drop ceilings and stuff like that. So you do have quite a bit of work in this property. So at this point, what I want to do is jump over and just start doing a little bit of a deal analysis. So we're going to say we're going to purchase this property for $69,900, which is the asking price. Repairs needed, I'm going to leave that blank for a minute. We will come back to that. Those were both 3-bed, 1-bath apartments. There's no rents coming in on this currently, but we're going to say that we can get $850 for those 2 apartments to start. And we'll tinker with that a little bit because there are, let's see, total units 2, occupied unit 0. And we'll tinker with those rents a little bit too, because I'll show you what it looks like when you start moving rents around, the impact that that can have on your bottom line. So we're going to go total taxes $1,343. We're going to use their numbers. What is the assessed value? $52,700. So I'm going to come up here, and actually I'm going to update that to be $1,446. So this, I built a little calculator into our spreadsheet for the city of Buffalo, and I update it with whatever the current year's assessments are, the tax assessments. What I did was just drop the property's assessed value in here, and that was pulled directly from the MLS. And based on that, it calculates what the total tax is for that property. And this is a homestead 1 to 4 unit property. So I just went ahead and dropped that number in there because I'm looking to use the most conservative numbers. Electric and gas, I'm going to leave blank because those are typically a tenant paid cost. Water, sewer, we're going to plan for about $800. User fee for garbage, we're going to plan for about $200. Vacancy, we're going to plan 10% for vacancy, maintenance, and management. So And then for insurance, I typically see people spending between $900 and $1,000 a year on insurance for a duplex in the city of Buffalo. And then we are down to our mortgage payment. And on this, we want our principal and interest only because we've already got our taxes and we've already got our insurance broken out on separate line items. So we'll come in here. We're going to do a purchase price of $69,900. We're going to say 3.75% interest rate, 360 months, which is 30 years. We're going to say that our loan amount, we're going to go 25% down. So I'll drag my calculator on screen here. So we're taking a loan for 75%, or $52,425. And we're going to say that that loan starts on 7/1/20. Let's see here. Monthly property tax amount, we're going to hit 0 because we just want the raw principal and interest here. And you can see that our yearly loan payment is going to be $29.13 and our monthly loan payment is going to be $243. So we're going to drop our $29.13 back into our analysis here. Is that right? $29.13? Okay, yep. And then if you ever want to stop and look at the actual amortization table as well, you can do that. And that'll show you what you're paying in interest and in principal, how many payments you have remaining, et cetera, et cetera. If you want a copy of this spreadsheet, it's free. You can just send us an email, hello@ownbuffalo.com. You can also reach out to us on Facebook or YouTube. We'll email this over to you. We built it to share it. So definitely take advantage if you're looking for an analysis spreadsheet. This one's pretty straightforward. It'll let you analyze anything up to 20 doors, 25 doors maybe. So it's not a bad little spreadsheet, and it's perfect if you work a lot in the city of Buffalo. But realistically, the same spreadsheet can be used anywhere to analyze an investment property, no questions asked. So the real question now becomes, what do you think it needs in repairs? I'm going to assume that this property is going to need a fair amount in repairs by the time you factor in 2 kitchens, a bathroom, another bathroom. I'm going to say $12,000 on that roof, $42,000. We haven't even talked about flooring yet. So if we're talking $3 a square foot as a rough cost, and this home was $2,500 a square foot, we're talking about another $7,500 in flooring. I mean, we're quickly approaching $50,000 in repairs here. We're quickly approaching the full market value, not like an after repair value, but a full on market value. For the sake of argument, I'm going to drop a total repairs needed of $50,000 in here. Brings our total investment cost up to $119,000. And again, like I said, folks, your numbers may vary in terms of the repairs needed, depending on if you're doing work yourself, if you're hiring contractors, what contractors you hire, how far you decide you want to take this project. There's a certain level that is kind of the norm in South Buffalo. If you want to go above and beyond that, you certainly can. I don't think this home warrants it. But here we go. This is where we're at in terms of, you're all in on this investment. You're at $119,900. If you think that repair number might be a little bit lower, let's bump it up to $60,000. Now you're at $129,000. You're still kind of in that comp range because our comps were coming in the $120,000 to $140,000 range. And obviously we did see some outliers there as high as $180,000. So you're still okay in terms of value. Do I think that this is necessarily a good investment based simply on the fact that you have to dump that much into it? I'm not in love with it. I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of work that needs to be done on this property, I think. A lot more than what you might anticipate. We're going to drop the repairs back down to $50,000. And we're going to say our actual cash invested on this deal. I closed my calculator already. So let's see here at 70. So we're going to have 17.5 down plus our 50,000 in repairs, 67.5. So that'll be our actual cash invested. And this number, if you're not taking that 50,000 from cash, if you're either rolling that into your mortgage as part of a renovation loan, or you're pulling that money from a line of credit instead, that's something that you would have to factor in when you're determining what your actual cash invested is. So now let's start talking about the cash on cash and the cap rate. Cash on cash, is typically used in a finance transaction. This takes into account your mortgage. It takes into account the mortgage, the interest, and everything else, as opposed to the capitalization rate, which does not take those things into account. Cap rate is typically more relevant on a cash transaction. Cash on cash return is more relevant on a mortgage transaction. And frankly, I don't love the numbers on this. A 9% cap rate falls under the 10% that we try to shoot for when we're looking at a property. And the cash on cash return of 11.73 is not really all that attractive either. So what would make this deal more attractive? Well, there's a few things you can do. You can cut down on the amount of money that you're spending on repairs, which you may or may not be able to do once you get in and actually look at the property and determine what needs done and what doesn't need done. You know, maybe those hardwoods aren't as bad as they look like in the photos. Maybe they're savable with not as much work as what we're anticipating. But the real way to bump things is to move the rents up. So if you move the rents up, let me back up here. So if you move the rents up from $850 to $900 a month on both units, your per year goes from $20,400 up to $21,600. So you're immediately getting that bump in revenue, which is nice. You know, it's never a bad thing to have additional revenue coming in. Once you adjust those, however, you have to come down and adjust for your management, your maintenance, and your vacancies, and then look at what your rates are back up here. Again, you're just shy of that 10% cap rate. Your cash on cash return is coming up, which is nice. And then $950, which is probably about top of market for this home. Again, $22,800. So I'm going to come down here. There are a lot of people when they're doing their deal analysis that don't factor in vacancy, maintenance, and management. And that's a colossal mistake, in my opinion. Even if you're planning on doing all of the maintenance yourself, and even if you plan on managing the property yourself, you still need to factor in for those expenses. And the reason I say that is because something may change in your lifestyle, something may change in your investment strategy. You may just get too big to be able to manage every property on your own, and now you need to hire a management company. Or you may need to hire someone in-house to do management. That's still a cost that you're going to have, whether you're doing it in-house or whether you're hiring a management company. You're definitely going to want to make sure that you're factoring in the cost of management on your deals so that you do know that you have that ability down the road if you need it. Maintenance is always something that should be factored in. We typically look at about a 10% maintenance, and we recommend, you could even go a little higher than that. You could even go maybe 15% maintenance, but split it half and half into capital expenditures, half into normal maintenance. Vacancy, we typically say about 10% vacancy on a duplex. As you get into larger buildings, you know, something that's 20, 40, 100 units, you're going to bring that vacancy down. You don't want to see a vacancy of more than, you know, well, more than about 5%. So like it'll adjust, vacancy rate should adjust down the larger number of units that you do get. So something to keep in mind. So at $950, we finally hit our 10% cap rate. Our cash on cash is at 14%. Let me just make sure I did update all those numbers. So there you're at. There you go. If you have to go into this property at asking price and you have to spend 50 grand on repairs and you can get $950 a month in rents, that's where you're going to be looking at. That's what you should be looking at in terms of return and things like that. Do I love this deal? No, I don't love this deal. I think that there are better deals out there to be had. I think that in a situation like this, there might be some factors that you can work with to get yourself a better deal, either lower the purchase price or, you know, maybe only hire out part of the work instead of all of the work if you have the ability to get in there and do some work. Even something as simple as painting. It's time consuming, which means that it costs money to do it. But if you can get in there on a weekend or something and knock out some paint, that could help you save when it comes to your total renovation cost. So as it sits right now, I don't think it's the best deal out there. I think there are some other deals that could potentially be a lot better for an investor who's looking to pick up a property in the Buffalo market. South Buffalo is my bread and butter neighborhood. I've loved that neighborhood for a lot of years. Mineral Springs Road is not a bad road to have a property on. It's just a matter of what is it going to cost to make that property produce the way that you want it to. So that pretty much wraps up our property analysis, guys. I do appreciate you taking the time to watch that and go through that. If you have questions on that analysis, or if you want a copy of our spreadsheet, just shoot us a message on Facebook or on YouTube. You can also reach out via email, hello@ownbuffalo.com, and we can go ahead and supply you with a copy of that spreadsheet for free. We'll even sit down on a Zoom call and walk you through how to work your first deal if you want. It's pretty straightforward. So that's where we're at. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you found this content enjoyable, or if I brought some value to your day, all I ask is that you hit that thumbs up button. YouTube and Facebook both push videos based on community feedback, and we want to help as many people as possible. So liking, commenting, subscribing, and sharing, all of those things to help us grow and help us reach a little bit bigger audience. And that's how you guys can help us out, since we're dropping these episodes on a weekly basis to bring you guys as much information as we can. We love producing Ask a Property Manager. That's the best way that you can help us improve. If you do have a question, you can drop it in the comments, either Facebook or YouTube. Your question might get answered in an upcoming episode. Don't forget, you can always grab a 30-minute phone consultation over at ownbuffalo.com as well. Next week's episode will be on June 17th at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be back with another show that you're not going to want to miss. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.